Good afternoon, just bringing you another edition of Leinster Brigands Battles. A game we played, myself and Philip Johnson played last week. As you'll see is MacBain versus Denny2, so MacBain and Irregulars versus Denny2 in Ghostfleet. Both preparing for the Welsh, and I think one of my lists is going to be some combination of Ghostfleet, still undecided. So what I've done is I've taken Ghostfleet out for a spin and played into Phil's janky Irregulars lists with Choir and Flamebringers. So as you see, I won first turn and just pretty much ran everything forward. Now my list is Denny2 rather than Denny1, Nightmare, 2 Arc Nodes, 3 Min Pirates with 3 rifles in 2 units, 1 rifle in the other. Min Blackbains, Ghost Cane, Agrimony, and that's it, I believe. And then Phil obviously has a Galleon, a Nomad, a Vanguard, MacBain, the Flamebringers, and then a plethora of solos. So you'll see there we play out. I've just pretty much ran everything forward. Straight off the bat, made a considerable error. As you can see, Phil is now measuring Tarn the Rossi's threat range, where I've put both Agrimony and Blackbane in range for no reason whatsoever. So you'll see the models move forward. So it's Eilish Garrity moving forward now, putting puppet strings out on Tarn, or sorry. MacBain putting Fortune out on Tarn. Tarn advances to the edge of the building and does what Tarn does very well, and she will now blow Agrimony off the table. And then, Blackbane first, and then Agrimony, as you'll see, one misses and blows him also off the table. You see the model at the bottom left hand side of the clock there, just beside the Leinster Brigands. That is Anastasia de Bray, who will ambush later and cause me a headache. So given Irregulars team has Menot and Choir, the Galleon is obviously a huge problem for me because I can't get Curse of Shadows out. So it's something that I'm going to have to either ignore or come up with a plan for dealing with. As you'll see over the course of the game, the plan was pretty much ignore, much to my detriment. As you'll see, Galleon run in there to be a nuisance, and then the Turn gun mages run into the rough terrain there, and the Nomad runs in there beside them. Flamebringers stay well aware of the rate engine and stay clear of the rate engine, making sure they're more than 12 inches away. That's Ragman down below, and then the Choir go down there. Again, the Choir have Pathfinder in the tier, so you'll see I have my 3 Anchor Pirates there at the bottom of the screen. I have Ghost Cane, who is actually proxying as a pistol right there at the top of the screen. So again, Pirates just move forward. The rifle stayed still, so I've a combined range on the Tarn de Rossi, but I miss, and she nice and easy dodges away. And at that stage, there's no point trying to shoot her again with the Rat 4 gunshots in the trench. So we ignore that plan and try and just move on. So again, up here, we move forward, and the 3 rifles go straight into the Nomad and do small amount of damage on the Nomad. And again, Arknaud moves in. Denny advances forward. She goes. That token is for Incorporeal. So the rate engine goes up to the building. The building plays a huge part in the game here for both of us. As you'll see, I put the rate engine behind the building. Now the rate engine can't obviously be seen. I can't see over the building, but can be seen over the building. So again, Denny moves over. So as Ringgrave moves over there, making sure that the Galleon isn't going to kill Ringgrave with blast damage. Denny moves forward, and within 5 of the turn, they have Prowl, the Gun Mages, and helm out later. All 3 gun mages are killed. So again, nothing else really to do now. MacBain is actually dead from the unit. The value of the ghost pirates in this game are limited, given the amount of magic weapons and magic attacks in this list. So I just run them forward to take up board space. It's at this stage that I've realised that I've ran incorporeal models forward, and Denny is also incorporeal. So Galleon's harpoon, which can be magical from the objective, is just going to drag Denny directly into melee range of the Galleon. So this is pure panic in my measurements. And you'll see after multiple measurements and possibly about 5 minutes on my clock to see can the arc node actually get around there. And you'll see that the arc node does not do a great job on getting the whole way over for me. So the arc node gets there, but again doesn't block the line that I need. That model there is Nightmare. So Nightmare just moves over, and we can see clearly that Galleon can comfortably walk over and smack Denny if he's successful, dragging her in, and then Anastasia coming in to be a nuisance. So focus go out, 3 go on the Galleon. It's turn 2, so it's MacBain's feet turn. So fail safe is dropped, no requirement on Galleon. His fortune is going to go on him now. Nightmare's prey was the Flamebringers, just to point it out. So you'll see the combination of rules and checking stats, etc. So again, we're talking out what is going to happen, what isn't going to happen. And you saw we paused there for a brief discussion. So again, MacBain, as Eilish moves forward, first puts puppet strings out, and then we're measuring the landing space for Tarn. So Tarn moves away, make sure she's more than a half inch away from all models there, and just to see where she can land. So in the end, she lands down beside the objective. Eventually, she's there outside the half inch. So Eilish Tarn the Rossi will end up down there. So Eilish goes, and just puppet strings there. So kills and kills. Ragman goes over there. Bone Shakers. Death Shroud, Galleon moves, but again we realise that there's an error here from Phil, and that's me taking a photograph of my imminent death. So we realise that MacBain hasn't actually feated yet, so MacBain feats and puts fortune on the Galleon. And he gets maximum number, so the full Flamebringers, all the solos outside Anastasia, and a single choir member. Now we move Galleon back forward. And the harpoon shot goes, needs a little old 11, as you see there, doesn't require the fortune. 10 for damage, so straight damage I believe, or dice minus 1, with the rate engine. So it's 9 points of damage. She takes 4 after the focus spend, and she's pulled directly into Galleon. And this is where I clarified the rule with the objective. The objective being only the next attack is magical. So when I dragged in the Galleon's purchased attacks, melee attacks now, are are only against corporeal, they're not magical. So Denny will survive. So Denny gets dragged in. She had 1 focus, I believe, at that stage. But again, in a serious spot of bother there. So Phil moves over and starts gunning down pirates. I was fortunate in the way the shots went, that they weren't all on the right side, but again he just starts gunning down pirates. So dead and dead. No, he misses that shot. Now unfortunately it does scatter onto Rangrave, who he boosts the damage but leaves Rangrave on a single wound, which are very lucky there, or very unlucky, depending on which way you want to think of it. But I do have Rangrave, can't call the sacrifice on a non-direct hit from blast damage. So the right engine position saved him there. But again, I do have serious concerns and serious issues here. The bottom zone, my left flank, is effectively just collapsing. Denny's in a spot of bother. Nightmare, she's been pulled out. Nightmare is now out of control area. The arc node at the top there is also out of control area, but you can see that combination of the Nomad and the impact from the Flamebringer does ensure that the life is short. So again, Phil just maximising the Flamebringer's impact attacks, number of attacks, and just being a complete nuisance, which he's very successful at. Anastasia then again becoming more of a nuisance, comes in, kills, and flips the clock. But you can see there the time that was invested by Phil in that turn. He completed a significant amount. But again, it puts me well up on clock. He hasn't scored. I was quite lucky that he hadn't scored. So again, because battle was out on the Galleon, I do have to consider my options of targeting Galleon and seeing can I kill him, because I can get Curse of Shadows out on him, I can get the Wraith Engine over to him, but without Nightmare over there it's not really feasible. I do invest some time trying to work out an angle or see can I do something, but again you can see that the angle of the building, I don't have line of sight, so there's not much I can do. I learned a lot in this activation or in this turn, because playing into MacBain's feat there is ways to play around it, particularly with multi-wound characters. I didn't focus as much on the Flamebringers as I possibly should have, because I could knock them down. I did box them off, I think quite successfully, but they do murder infantry like nothing else. So I did try to box them in to ensure that they weren't like having away and parrying away and things like that. So again, this is me trying to solve the Flamebringer puzzle. So again, this was just try and box them in. So 3 models go around that one. So just try and box them in, make sure that they can't do much, and so the unit of pirates at the top all go in. Some of them run and charge around, some of them charge in, some of them run around. So, and he charges in there, and then he just runs. That's my anchor, and then you'll see that my other model swaps to the anchor. So again, it's only my first game since the CID Ghost Fleet nerf, so just still playing around with the anchor. I've only played Ghost Fleet maybe 5 times, so it's still quite new to me. So there will be errors, and more experienced players can point them out and highlight it. Again, this one in particular, Ghost Cane is Grievous. So prior to running those pirates in, Ghost Cane could have actually grievous 2 of them at least, and would have ensured that I can kill 2 because they can't heal under MacBain's feet. The 8th engine then goes forward. Again, it's a case now that I have to start doing work. I can't leave that nomad there. So he goes and starts work on the nomad and successfully kills him. Then the middle pirates there charge in and keep my 7-inch commands. My anchor is fine. The grey models are rifles, obviously. You can clearly see they're not Rulik dwarves at all. They're clearly rifles. And again, charge in. At the end of this turn, I have 2 Flamebringers knocked down, 1 on a single wound, which was successful enough. But again, the investment in time probably didn't justify it. Kane could have just shot 2. Nightmare could have killed him, and we could have just left it at that and saved myself 8-10 minutes on clock. Again, this is just Denny just fleeing. I healed her for 3, I believe, and just ran. Because she's corporeal this turn, but she does have parry. And then flipped the clock back over. Sorry, paused the clock there to check gunfighter. See, could you actually use gunfighter in melee? And yes, you can. So Tarn could actually gunfighter the ghost pirates. So I set the galleon on fire and literally just trying to take up space, and I missed Tarn again. So Tarn happily dodges away. So this was the, do I deal with Anastasia or do I not deal with Anastasia? So we move the wall, see where I can get to, and I don't get enough attacks here to justify it. I don't have line of sight to charge, and she has parry, so I decided it wasn't worth it and it was time to start flooding the zones. No point having a single anchor, so I formed 2 anchors. And I miss turn again and she dodges away again. So the turn ends, we move on to Phil's turn 2. Still no score. And this is where the game gets really interesting. Galleon's output, again, I'm always a big fan of the workload that Galleon does, particularly against single wound models. Just the sheer volume of attacks that he can churn out is phenomenal, between the AoEs, melee attacks, potential in this case in a sweep. So in this case, Galleon is missing 1 pirate. Anastasia is going to charge that rifle in the back. So kills the rifle, and with the backstab, again it's my own fault, should have turned to face her. She probably would have killed anyway, but at least it's only 2 dice, there's increasing the odds that it's a failure. And then Tarn kills another 2 models from our gunshots. Galleon does a sweep, and you'll see there it just kills and misses that pirate there. Now the important bit there is that pirate is towing both zones. So you'll see there I have 2 models. He's engaged and he has the corner of the building in both zones there, luckily enough. So he is contesting that zone. You'll see there the work that the Flamebringers do here, and that's the model on a single wounds. He goes in after Denny and fails to hit. And then these ones here starts just flittering away through models there. And you can see that they just start murdering the world. Blazers have the name Murder Ponies, but Flamebringers I think do it just far more effectively, just at a shorter range. So you will see the number of casualties that I have is just ramping right up, but that's the main strength of the list is it's very difficult to remove that anchor. And Galleon, while it can remove the anchor, the list is reliant on the Flamebringers doing a lot of work, and Galleon and chipping in and there at the end. So we're measuring there, just can MacBain get in beside Galleon and the building in order to strike that pirate, but unfortunately doesn't have melee range when we place him down. So we get the shot there on that pirate. So it goes in, and MacBain double cannon there blows him off the table and leaves one pirate there contesting both zones. So again, I've got very lucky at that point, but again, Phil's dice don't fail him, and that final pirate dies, and Phil scores his first point, and then the Flamebringers kill the objective also for the second point. So 2-0 down. I'm up slightly on clock, but down on attrition, with no real way of killing Galleon. So I'm under a lot of pressure here now at the moment. So swing around to turn 4. We have about 20 minutes left on our clock. So you can see there the deathbound rolls have been completely average. The first turns were below average, up to average now, but again, the volume of wounds that I have there now at this stage isn't really going to matter. We need big rolls, we need to get everyone back into play. I've lost the Arcanauts, which means MacBain is relatively safe. The building is also going to protect both Denny and MacBain. So again, this is just me churning into the Flamebringers. The most important point at this stage now is that I score a point back. I can't let Phil get away. So ideally what I want to do is move Nightmare into the middle zone in order to start threatening Galleon. And this is Rengrave fluffing his rolls, because it would have been nice for Rengrave to kill the Flamebringer here in order to bring New Revenant into play. But unfortunately he does fluff his rolls, and results in the pirates themselves just doing again. This is time now where I go after Anastasia again, possibly a mistake. So we charge to there, and I can test the zone, so I kill Anastasia. And I only stick 3 models into the zone and do 4 points of damage to the objective. But again, it's not enough in that zone. You know, more model now. Again, Galleon's probably just going to kill him anyway. But again, this is whether I use Nightmare or not to kill that Flamebringer. So the pirates go in and do the job for me. So I get a soul for Denny, which is a rare thing. And then I'm just trying to see, is there anywhere I can get the rate engine into play to go and even start threatening Galleon. So there isn't, so I used rate engine to kill the last bringer, put a machine rate into play, and then the machine rate can run across the board and help me stall scenario for another turn. So he runs his 14 into just past the halfway in the zone there, and Denny feats and basically turns my anchors in incorporeal, Rengrave, the rate engine, and then Nightmare runs across there, stays at 10 inches in order to threaten Galleon, and we flip it over, and we now have 2-1. Yeah, we're both quite close on clock. I'm up by only a couple of minutes at this stage. But again, the machine rate now is a problem for MacBain, because he needs to clear that zone out to score his third point. And unfortunately for him, a lot of his magic attacks, like the likes of Tarn's gunshot, is more than likely going to have to be used to clear that out, or Galleon moves forward and into Nightmare's range. And now again, Curse of Shadows is going to be off the table, but it does mean that I could run the right engine over to get to -2 from Death Shroud, and I can put Nightmare in, and Galleon probably doesn't kill both, and it means I get 2 rounds with a potential of killing him. With no man off the table as well, the right engine is probably safe outside Galleon. And Galleon probably doesn't kill Nightmare and the right engine if both go in. So again, Tarn moves forward and kills, and then I get lucky and misses. So again, just moves forward, shoots and kills. And kills. So I have one guy left at the objective, and he is killed. So Phil again scores his third point, and the Vanguard toes the zone then as well. So Phil debating on the logistics of putting Galleon closer to the force, but again he'll also stare a Rengrave down on that one as well. So the combination of Nightmare, Rengrave and Dark Shroud there could get him killed. He is on fire as well, and the fire did a few points of damage there at the start of the turn, and this is one of the few times you will see that Revenant's being completely wiped out. So he takes a few shots there in the hope that he gets Rengrave, but again he fails to connect, and Rengrave lives. So 3-1, and the Deathbound troops come back again. So that bottom unit, only the 3 models left. Again, this is, can I kill Galleon? Now because I've no line of sight, I can't charge in there at the building, causing a huge headache once again. And my placement on the last turn, I didn't need to be that far forward. I could have placed him at an angle, killed that Flamebringer, and had an angle past the building, rather than having him at a 45-degree angle there, having more like a 180. So the pirates just run around the building, and the right engine runs into the zone, and again just once again contests it. The right engine moves over. That is Rupert that dies. That Arknode is actually a right engine, or is actually a machine rate, and then also killed the choir. Machine rate then also runs into the zone there. And that leaves just Ragman contesting my zone. So Ghost Kane goes forward, kills Ragman, and then the pirates do piratey things. Nightmare runs out again, stays out there, and we go to 3-2. You can see there at this stage we've stopped marking the clock up, and we're just using dice in front of the clock there. So turn 5, we're both quite low on clock now at this stage, and you can see that the game has sped up even at the speed that the camera's at. You can see it has sped up quite dramatically. So the building there, keeping that pirate alive. We again pause the clock again just to check a rule, and we go again. So again, machine rate's killed by MacBain, and the Vanguard kills that pirate, but that one at the bottom left of the screen there, turn 6. So we go to 3-3, and Phil has no way of contesting my zone now. So the red tension stays incorporeal, just runs into the zone. I dead bound models there. Again, stay in melee range there. Phil tactically blocks off the zone there, the clock there, to make sure I don't see I have 2 minutes left in my clock. And Ghost Kane goes and kills the contesting models, potential contesting models there. And that pretty much wins the game for me. I have about 30 seconds left on my clock. I finish out the turn, pass it over to Phil, and I sit down, and you can see me panic slightly. So now I'm 4-3 up. I failed to move my dice, but I'm 4-3 up now. Phil discusses the possible options, but again, Denny in the middle of the zone, no way of contesting. So he concedes at this stage with a combined of somewhere in the range of about a minute left in our combined clock, moving on to turn 7. Again, you can see the value I got out of Nightmare was nothing. So Nightmare has been dropped out of the list in favour of the traditional battle group of 2 Stalkers, 2 Arcanauts. It also frees up points to add the extra rifle in, which gives me another free solo. So my next game, I will have a slightly different battle group and an extra free solo. Thanks very much for listening, and I'll talk to you again soon.